This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we have in front of us the 2-pack of Ralph Steeler Pulaski and Short Fuse, part of the G.I. Joe Classified series of figures. This pack actually upset quite a few people because Steeler is actually the driver for the Mobat, and when this was announced, that dashed a lot of people's hopes that we would get the Mobat as a HasLab, which of course sounds about right. But as I kind of discussed in one of my ramen toy videos for the Cobra version of their tank, I kind of wonder if Hasbro kind of looked at it like they weren't sure what to do with the Mobat exactly in order to make it a good playset as well. And maybe that's part of the reason why they didn't do it. Although I don't think Ramen Toys, having put out a rather inexpensive, for all intents and purposes, tank before they were announcing stuff, helped either. But let's go ahead and take a look at this box. We turn it sideways. We got some images here. Just the normal G.I. Joe BS where, you know, they really do need to go ahead and give us a guide as to what all these different things mean that they can update regularly. What is the point of having the internet if you're not going to actually have product information that's actually useful? And of course, on the back of the box, we just see some figure information here. We see a nice little display rendering here. But let's go ahead and open this sucker up, shall we? So let's go ahead and start our review by taking out Steeler. All right, Steeler here comes with a helmet and a nose-picking microphone, as like so many of these other ones. I wish Hasbro could find a way to put these in here where it didn't deform that stuff. We've got an Uzi with a suppressor on it. The clip on the bottom does not come out, but does have an extended clip. I think Snake Eyes really came with this one a lot. We have a pistol. We have a knife, slightly different than the one that came, or that I assumed went with Short Fuse. We have a shovel. Now that I think about it, I wonder if the shovel was supposed to go with Short Fuse's backpack. I thought maybe this would go with it, but it doesn't. And then we have various blast effects to add to our weaponry. Except for, of course, the mortar launching, which is kind of silly. They should have had something designed specifically to show the mortar coming out of the tube. You know what I mean? That being said, let's take a look at his head sculpt. He's got a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow going on there. Brown hair. I think those are blue eyes. He's a decent looking dude. And remember, you know, it's kind of funny actually now that I think about it, because I think in the cartoon for G.I. Joe, I think Steeler was actually blonde. Like blonde, not this like brownish blonde. And he ended up in another universe, where he and the Baroness were together. The Cobra had taken over the world, and the Baroness was part of the Resistance. So let's go ahead and see about putting all of his equipment in here, because he's got lots of spots for equipment. So obviously the knife goes in there. The suppressor can go back there. This looks like it's designed for the Uzi. And his handgun goes up here. To be honest, most of the time, you can't get those pegged in very well. And I'm fairly certain his neck is off kilter. Let's see if we can get... Okay, that looks a little bit better. Although, I think he's using like the same kind of top on his... No. I think this might be a new neck piece. I don't recall seeing like the mock turtleneck thing before on a neck like that. But since most of him is probably reused from other figures, that would probably be why they did that for the neck. His holster and equipment all kind of fit weird too. And I think that's because stuff just is shifting too much. Because we got all of these belts and stuff here, which is holding everything in weird spots. And then trying to line it all up so it looks good is not an easy task. That being said, let's take a look at his articulation, though I can predict right now that this is going to interfere with a lot of it. But his head is on a ball joint, so you can spin it around. The neck is like super loose, as you can see here. So we got to try to move that back into place, but we do have the usual nod and everything else. And yeah, that neck is just super ridiculously loose. I mean, look at that gap. Can you guys see that? That gap in there? That is just crazy. He has the butterfly joint, and actually it's pretty good bit of movement in that one. Spin at the shoulder. We can lift up at the shoulder and down. Spin the bicep at 360. Double joint in the elbow again. Spread that out. Spin at the wrist. Right hand has up and down articulation. Left hand has in and out articulation. Oh, and while this is technically not articulation, the holster spins as well. We have an ab crunch. As you can see, this thing warps a bit when you do it and pulls in weird positions. Waist swivel to wobble. Again, you can see how the harness that he's wearing is affecting a lot of that movement. We have drop down hips. We can kick forward about that far. And we can kick back about that far. And we can kick out. Of course, in this case, the Uzi kind of gets in the way of this leg moving as far out as it should. We do have a thigh cut, a double jointed knee, and the boot cut as per usual. And a little bit of a hinge here, so it goes up and down and spins all around and does the hokey pokey. Now let's go ahead and put his helmet on because, you know, I kind of forgot about that. Oh. By the way, did military have helmets with visors like this? Just curious. I once heard, I believe it was the Russian army, where one of the tests that they would go through for some of their special forces or something was they would have a tank coming at you and you had your little E-tool there and you had to dig yourself a hole deep enough to actually go under the tank or die. So while Hasbro decided not to give us a tank to go with G.I. Joe, we still have our Ramen Toys one, and Steeler can be piloting his tank now. Anyway, so that's good. And I think he looks pretty good on there. He blends in with it quite well too. And I mean, naturally, he's going to be the one piloting this tank in my display when I finally get the other shelves put in where I can put the tank and him. But once again, it's kind of like I mentioned before. I'm not sure how much of a display we can do with this other than you're going to have other people like sitting or standing on the tank in weird spots. And there's no reason to put any figures inside the tank because you can't see them anyway. But the tank is still good. Steeler himself looks pretty nice on top of it. The figure overall, I mean, aside from, again, the helmet where the nose part just kind of goes up his nose is kind of obnoxious, but what can you do about it? That being said, overall, this figure is, I mean, he's a plain figure. He was meant to go with a vehicle. And I want to say specifically that this figure probably was designed to go with a vehicle that they ended up not producing. That's my thought on this one with him, because he comes with barely any additional equipment. You know, they gave him the Uzi, which the original toy probably didn't come with. He's got a pistol, and he's got his helmet, basically, and a knife. That's it. So they didn't really go all out on this figure, which is why I suspect that maybe it was true that they were looking at doing the Mobat and then switched to the Snowcat. I don't want to say last minute, but, you know, about as close to last minute as you can get. So he's a figure you need if you want to complete your collection. If you're upset that there's no Mobat, then I definitely would suggest getting the Ramen Hunter here to go with him, and that's about all you can do. But why don't you let me know what you think of Steeler below in the comments? That would be great. And of course, did you actually get the Hunter to go with him knowing that he was coming out, or did you order the Hunter ahead of time like I did? But if you enjoyed this review, please feel free to like the smash button, and if you want to hear more of my nonsense in the future, you can subscribe. I thank you for watching. Peace and love. You know, the one thing that they're missing from the cover for the tank, by the way, is that they don't have a handle on the inside of that cover in order for them to grab onto and pull down when they go ahead and go back inside. Just saying.